people young and old. You can come see our performance this weekend, Friday night at 7:30, Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and Saturday night at 7:30. Without further ado, I present to you Julia Crapanzano, Mary Grace Riley, Philip Clark, and Gracie DeMarinis. Thank you very much.
Eating my fields. Howdy, Scarecrow! Laughing in my face. Howdy, neighbor! Said a scarecrow swinging on a pole to a blackbird sitting on a fence. Oh, the Lord made me a soul, but forgot to give me common sense. Said the blackbird, well, 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 what in thunder would you do? Nonsense. Said the scarecrow to a bee, just to now, to love the wishes and the wonders and the wets. If I had an ounce of common sense, why shucks? shaft till the end. It might get us in trouble.
I'm a witch. I'm not afraid of a witch. I'm not afraid of anything. Except the leaded match.
I can't blame you for that.
But I'd face a whole box of them just for the chance of getting some grain. Look, I won't be in trouble because I can't eat. And I won't try to manage things because I can't think. Won't you take me with you?
Of course.
Oh, hooray! I'm up to give me some brains! Oh!
You're not off to a very great start.
I won't try, I really will.
To Oz.
To Oz.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
It's a wizard, the wizard,
Never a wizard was. Never a wizard was. The Wizard of Oz. Because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Oz here!
Bravo, thank you so much. Thank you, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just to remind everybody again, the show times are Friday night at 7:30 p.m., Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m., and Saturday night at 7:30. Adult tickets are $10, and seniors and students are $8. Thank you very much.
Great job. It's going to be a great show. All right. Moving on to some recognitions. We are going to recognize tonight our first ever girls varsity wrestling team. And it's very appropriate to do it during March, which is Women's History Month, as we're making history at Walt Whitman High School. And we want to celebrate this occasion by giving some certificates of honor to our athletes. And to move forward, I will bring up our athletic director, Mr. Barth.
All right, that is a tough act to follow. So incredibly impressed by the talent of our our students. I can promise I won't sing, but I'm very honored to be up here to honor our student athletes for such a well-deserved season. So I would like to start by thanking Dr. Delia, Cabinet, as well as Mr. Ciapetta and the Board of Education for their continued support of the athletics program and the opportunity to be here tonight to honor our newest team at Walt Whitman High School, our girls wrestling team. So the opportunity to participate in interscholastic athletics is an experience that is second to none. Participation in interscholastic athletics fosters vital character traits such as work ethic, perseverance, preparation, and commitment. It also allows the benefits of physical fitness and development of communication skills and social relationships. It provides a sense of pride in representing your school and community and gives students an opportunity to be connected with classmates and positive adult role models outside of the school day. Interscholastic athletics is at the foundation of a positive school experience, and the more opportunities that we can provide our students to feel connected, the better. We are very fortunate at Walt Whitman High School to offer all sports conducted by Section 11, and the addition of our girls wrestling team continues to allow us to provide vast opportunities for our students. For 10 of the 11 girls on our girls wrestling roster, this was their first winter sport ever at Walt Whitman. And for 4 of the girls, it was their first sport ever at Walt Whitman. Girls wrestling is one of the quickest growing sports in the United States, with over 25 states conducting varsity level competition, and now New York State is joining them. What started out as an idea and a brief meeting on the floor of the North Gymnasium turned into one of the brightest spots of our winter season. It was originally supposed to be 3 practices a week, a few dual meets with some local teams, and call it a season. That quickly turned into 5 to 6 day week practices, tournaments, vacation practices, and really the sport that is a standard for all varsity level sports. We are so proud of what this team has accomplished in just 4 months and know that the future is bright. I would like to thank Coach Cardella and the boys staff for their support and guidance during the first year of this program. You would often find them at dual meets, tournaments, and staying late after their practices to work with our student athletes. I would also like to thank and show great appreciation for Coach Biancamano for her excitement and leadership within the program. For those who know Coach Biancamano, they know her passion for wrestling, and it's something that she brought with her every day into practice. We are grateful to have her lead this new program. And of course, I would like to thank our student athletes who took a chance on something new. We are extremely proud of you all and thankful for your commitment to this team. You stepped outside your comfort zones and tried something new and something that really is hard. You should be very proud. We look forward to the future of this program and its continued growth. Congratulations. I'd like to call our student athletes up. Actually, coaches first. I'd like to coach Angela Biancamano. Coach Chris Cardella. Now our athletes. Ms. Helena Englade. Evelyn Barrientos. Mackenzie Caldwell. Maritza Catalan Hernandez. Isabella Franco. Emily Garcia Maldonado. Allison Hernandez Romero. Yeah. Emily, this is yours.
Okay.
Camila Hidalgo. Tamia McKay. And Melanie Rodriguez Valdez. Our inaugural girls varsity wrestling team.
All right. We have one more recognition. This is also pretty cool. You might have seen it featured on the district's Instagram page and other social media. But tonight we want to recognize Kate Pratt. Kate, are you here? Come on up. So this is really cool. This is honoring Kate Pratt's digital artwork, which is currently displayed in the new Grand Central Madison Terminal. So the MTA, and you see right there, the MTA and the New York State Art Teachers Association have selected Walt Whitman High School student Kate Pratt's digital artwork to be displayed in the glamorous new Grand Central Madison Terminal in New York City. The MTA has installed large custom-sized video screens in the new station, which is where her digital painting will be showcased. Her artwork appeared at the opening of the terminal a couple months ago and will remain on screens, becoming an immersive art exhibition that millions of riders who use Grand Central Madison each day will see. So this is a really cool accomplishment, and we are marking it by giving her a couple framed pictures of her artwork. Congratulations. Kate, if you can just come up for a picture with the Board of Ed. As you know, we like to celebrate our students, and there's often a lot to celebrate, today included. So we're going to move into our less glamorous part of the evening, but sorry, Joe. No less important, very important, because it helps make all of these great things possible. So with that, I'll introduce our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Centimore, to go over the budget.
He's on down the road.
I won't make any crow sounds in the background.
I thought the students were here to support the budget presentation. All right. Well, you know, we continue to be humbled by our students. One board meeting after another. Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta, our board, my colleagues in the cabinet. And, you know, tonight's yet another example of why South Huntington is a AAA-rated school district. Academics, arts, athletics. Our kids excel at them all. Our staff does an outstanding job in supporting them. Best possible parents and community to support those efforts as well. That's why we're all here, and that's essentially what the budget development process is for, is to support all of those efforts. So I couldn't have asked for a better segue into the budget presentation. So as we continue this journey in the budget development process for the subsequent school year, 2020-24, tonight, we're going to take a look at a few areas, and we're going to dive deeper into some of the finances, some of the state codes. We're going to begin with class sizes, and then that'll take us into a couple of slides to talk about a couple of significant staffing initiatives, and then, you know, I'll take you through those codes. But I will start by taking this baton and handing it to my esteemed colleague, our Executive Director, Mr. Edwin Smith.
Thank you, Dr. Centimore. It's my pleasure to kind of speak to everybody this evening regarding our class sizes throughout the district. I'd first like to thank our building level principals for taking the time to sit with me over the last couple of weeks and finalize the information that I'm sharing this evening. Most importantly, starting with our elementary buildings and looking specifically at Oakwood. If you'll notice, if you're looking at the class sizes for Oakwood, we start off each year at 200 for our kindergarten. That's a projection. It's a projection that always doesn't hold true, so there is an understanding that there could be additional staffing that might be needed based upon enrollment needs as far as how many kindergartens do enroll with us for next school year. So looking specifically at grade 2 at Oakwood, you'll notice there's an increase there. So what we're looking to do is to move the staffing from kindergarten up to second grade to keep the staffing needs at Oakwood neutral with no increases. That could certainly change as we have registration throughout the spring and into the summer, taking a close look at our kindergarten numbers to see if we might have to utilize a contingent position to accommodate an increased section in our kindergarten. Moving over to from Oakwood to Countrywood, once again using that number 200 as our enrollment for our kindergarten sections at Countrywood. You'll notice at the second grade level at Countrywood, there is an increase of a section that is needed. I'm going to speak about that in a few moments when we get to Maplewood, but we do believe that will remain staff neutral throughout the elementary program. Looking to Birchwood, this was a easier conversation with Mr. Ciccarelli and taking a look at his needs for next year. They pretty much remain, if you're looking at his enrollment numbers, very consistent, which is nice to see throughout the building, and making it so that the staffing from one year to the next is consistent. Moving to Maplewood, you will notice that in the third grade, you see number 180, so you do have a little bit of a dip in third grade. That anomaly, you don't see that number throughout the rest of the presentation. And what we're going to do is utilize the staffing in that grade to pull back to Countrywood in order to accommodate the additional needs in that second grade. Fourth grade and fifth grade, once again, stay at those 9 section and 8 sections for Maplewood. I want you to keep in mind this number of 24. Certainly that's the average that we're looking for our class sizes at the secondary level as we start to transition to Silas Wood. Looking at Silas, you can see that the class sizes range somewhere between 24 and 25, which is a nice number for our secondary level. Once again, moving to Stimson Middle School, I want you to keep those kind of that mid-20 to the low 20 class size in mind. Once again, those are the class sizes you're going to see at Stimson Middle School. A little bit different when it comes to scheduling when you get to the secondary level where students do start making some course selections. So you'll see that those course selections do have an impact on some class sizes where you might have maybe one section of French that could be running slightly high because there's one section being offered, where we call that a singleton in the scheduling world, or sometimes a doubleton, where you only have a few courses in one specific area, which might increase the class size, sometimes up to 27, 28 for those types of courses. And then once again, moving forward to the 8th grade, same thing, same pattern that you're going to see as far as our enrollment numbers and as far as our class size numbers, ranging somewhere into the low 20s to mid 20s, where you might see a little bit of a higher class size. That might be in our honors level courses. It's not rare for our honors classes to run a little bit higher when it comes to those classes. At Walt Whitman High School, and once again, I know we've been talking about specifically Walt Whitman and the addition of the 9-period day and the preparation that's taking place for that. Once again, if you're looking at the class sizes at Walt Whitman, you're again seeing those ranges right between 25, and I think that's what you would like to see at a secondary level. Again, with scheduling, you do have those anomalies, so you'll have situations where based upon need and the way a schedule falls that you could have classes higher than that or lower than that based upon student selection. Those projections continue to math and Spanish as well, where you're going to see those class sizes once again in the mid-20s, where you'd want to see our secondary courses. Once again for the final slide.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And some of the highlights in our budget development we've been talking about for months now, the return of the 9-period day, a tremendous amount of work being done through our curriculum office, our high school administration, our staff, and putting this together. And so, to meet those staffing needs at Walt Whitman High School, we will be hiring 8 teachers. I'll speak in a little bit more detail about some of the courses that'll be offered as a result. At Silas Wood, we're very excited to help further promote literacy and research. We are increasing from a part-time librarian to a full-time librarian, and to further enhance our mental health support, especially at the elementary level, we'll be adding 2 mental health providers. In terms of the 9-period day, this is going to be an outstanding opportunity to further enrich our high school students' experiences across the academic spectrum. All students will benefit from this. This is very exciting, and you can see a number of the areas where this expansion of our program is going to be impacting, and it truly is going to make a remarkable difference for all students. A lot of students in the past, even up until this year, have given up a lunch period. They will not need to do so, and this is really another major step forward for South Huntington, our community, and really supporting the needs of our kids and better preparing them for beyond high school. Student services. We are not only renowned for all of our general education programs, but South Huntington has a tremendous reputation for supporting the needs of all learners across the entire learning spectrum. You can see all the areas that are listed there. A tremendous commitment to intervention, and especially something that we've been doing in this district even prior to COVID is an emphasis on social emotional wellness and mental health. So now we'll dive into some of the state budget codes, and I'll give a quick explanation of function, and I'll explain some variances. In some cases, what's involved is sometimes we shift where a function is what code it's coming out of. So we call that kind of like house cleaning or code cleanup, where we really try to align the function with the proper code. And sometimes we'll notice, based on either the previous year or a couple of years trend analysis, that maybe we have a code that we've been a little bit too tight or a little bit under in terms of the funding, and we try to make those adjustments. Obviously, we're living in a pretty significant inflation period, and so that'll be a common theme in terms of just increased cost. And those are the areas under the state budget codes that we will go into. In terms of general support, you have everything from our superintendent's office, the Board of Education, through all of our departments. This will include areas such as facilities, such as safety and security. We appreciate how all the work gets done in the trenches at the building and the departmental level, that fabulous collaboration between our local administrators and the staff, and all of us up here in central office. We're here to support, facilitate, and be a resource to them. So you're going to see a lot of codes, a lot of numbers. The presentation will be on the website as soon as tomorrow. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to my office, certainly. In terms of some of the functions you'll see here, starting with our Board of Education and the Chief School Administrator's Office. And then as you get into some of the other areas, such as the Business Administration, and some of the other offices, what you're seeing here in terms of some of the changes in funding, some of those percent changes is, such as that second category. You're seeing an increase from shifting of funds within codes and trying to get some additional support in some of the various offices. One office, for example, the payroll office, realizing that as the district grows, meeting the payroll needs and those functionalities is a critical area of focus. Plant operations, maintenance. We're a very large school district, a lot of buildings, a lot of property. A major commitment to keeping our students, our staff, our community at large safe and secured. This will include the district's recent commitment to that additional tier of security with the armed security, in terms of those increases there. And then you got other areas such as the storage, the mailroom, where you're seeing some shifts in funds between codes. And what'll come up as a common theme in several of these areas are some various types of BOCES services that can have an ebb and flow in terms of the codes, and some percent increases. Sometimes there's some savings and a percent decrease. That last category is the insurance liabilities. And those costs are going up, due to inflation.
Just one note on plant operations. That is where the armed security is, but that 2.8 is not the cost of armed security, as we've talked about it. It's around $750,000. So I don't want to leave anyone with the impression that 2.8 is the cost of it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Absolutely.
And the 623 also doesn't represent the Board of Ed salary, right?
Yes, there will be a 0% increase for all Board of Education salaries. And in case you're following at home and you're not aware, they are, while they are elected officials, they are volunteer elected officials, and we appreciate their time and commitment. Instruction. Well, this is the bread and butter. This is the bread and butter of a school district, as you would expect, and you'll see through the codes the significant investment in this area, to our various staff, both in terms of the instructional, as well as the counseling and the mental health, and the various resources that they need in the classroom, in our libraries. We have classroom libraries. We have libraries with building base to support literacy and research, as well as technology application. And of course, our, outstanding athletic program and extracurriculars. So again, I'm hitting you with a lot of numbers, and I'll kind of take you through. That first category where you see a little bit of a decrease, that's really due to some BOCES code savings there. So staying pretty neutral. In terms of those next two categories, the general ed and the special education, again, the bread and butter are people who do the magic in the classrooms with our kids, our staff, as well as other support staff throughout the buildings. As we get into other codes, you'll see various, BOCES codes again, and sometimes, some of these costs are going to be based on use, based on the number of students that are being served in programs. So from year to year, you can have an ebb and flow depending on what students are in what programs, especially in terms of those BOCES-based programs, occupational education being one of them. And obviously, we see here the support for our libraries as well.
And just on the other page, that, those, the personnel, that's not necessarily the total cost for an employee because the health benefits are elsewhere, correct?
Right, that falls under the health, yes. And, when we get to that slide, you'll see, we experienced, as did everybody in the industry, a pretty significant cost increase there because of the rates. Attendance, guidance, health-related services, where we add on mental health support within our staff, that I mentioned earlier as one of the highlights of our staffing. That'll come out in that area. And sometimes what happens is you could sometimes add staff under a code, but sometimes there's breakage. Sometimes retirees or people who separate. So sometimes you could still be increasing in an area and show a slight decrease in terms of cost. And then obviously our co-curricular, our instructional programs. There are increased costs with those. Getting back to that other slide, that one of the factors in like the health services is, and I'm gonna knock on something that's wood. Post-pandemic, I'm gonna dare to use that phrase post-pandemic. We have obviously less budgeting for COVID-related supplies, etc. So as I have mentioned in the past, we have a hybrid transportation operation. We're a big district, and when you factor in our preschool students, 5,900, and we own our own fleet, which is pretty robust. 65 to 70 buses, and then we also contract out services as well. But in terms of our own fleet, like your cars at home, they have to be maintained. And, we try to get every mile we can out of our cars, but when it comes to buses and things, we're very strict with our care. Everything goes through our Department of Transportation with the state inspection. And the fleet has to be replenished. The fleet has to have turnover. And so it's important for school districts such as South Huntington, who has their own fleet, again, 65, 70 strong, that we have a plan in place. And one of the things that we're trying to do, and obviously state aid each year plays a major role in this, is we want to try to keep budgeting, in that $500,000, $600,000 to $800,000, $900,000 a year to keep replenishing the fleet. Obviously, it depends on needs and funding from year to year. But that's, as we look at, we never live in 1 year when we're looking at finances for the school. We live in the past to see trends, to review needs. We live in the present, as we manage and maintain and oversee. And we plan not only for tomorrow, meaning the subsequent school year, but the key theme is sustainability as we move 3, 5, 10, 20 years down the road.
Dr. Sidamore?
Yes.
When it says vans, are we getting smaller buses or full size?
Yeah,
or?
so for this generally speaking, the buses come in kind of two categories. The large buses, or the small buses, or the passenger vans. They go by a lot of different names. So what we do is we kind of rely upon the guidance from our transportation supervisor and the department to look at the condition of the current fleet and what is the immediate need. Some years it might be big buses. This year that we're living in, the 22-23 fiscal year, we budgeted for the large buses. Transportation department said, our need going into next year, please budget for the smaller passenger vans. And so that is a good, thank you for pointing that out, Ms. Bronson. That is a good differentiation. But that is a key component, to our fleet, upkeep from year to year. And obviously, our transportation operation is a major operation. We have a garage there, where we service our buses. We try not to outsource as much as we can. We try to do as much in-house as we can. And oh, by the way, that includes our maintenance vehicles, our grounds vehicles, security, any in-house vehicles we try to maintain. And you need people. You need office staff. You need oversight. And so that's obviously a function within the transportation department. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, with the hybrid operation, we do have a partnership, contract services that are going very well, that we just renewed with Educational Bus for the subsequent school year. And so it's a blend of the two, and they play a major role with us, especially with our secondary students, especially, and certainly with any of our private special school transportation obligations. So there you see the breakdown within the codes. In terms of our district transportation services, we are intending on piloting for next year a late bus for Stimson Middle School, for those immediate after school, extra help, whatever academic interventions, club activities. And we were also looking at the reason that you're seeing a decrease there is because last year we budgeted a little bit more for bus purchases because the larger buses tend to be a little bit more money, so a little bit less this year, and that's why you're seeing that decrease there. The garage, like I said, it's a significant garage with multiple bays, and when you're talking about big buses that have to go up on these lifts, it's not your traditional lift that you might see the neighborhood garage, and they're a pretty good cost to maintain that, especially in terms of utilities. And our transportation contract services, again, a great partnership, and credit to our transportation team, our supervisor and her team there, Ms. Brothers, that they try to do as much in-house as possible while still honoring contract and commitment with educational. So sometimes we do benefit from savings there, while there is always going to be that year-to-year increase with the contractual obligations. We're still waiting for that final percent. The CPI for transportation increases for contract transportation is a little bit different, and it comes from the state. We're still waiting for that, but we're anticipating to be in decent shape there. So in terms of benefits, and there's probably some familiarity here to many of us when we see the areas that are covered, from the health insurance all the way through various, whether it be disability, unemployment, Social Security, workers' comp, life insurance. And what you're going to see here is where you see the significant variances, those significant increases, it's generally due to rate increases and the cost. So in terms of pensions, for a school district, there are two. There's the teachers' retirement system, which covers all the certificated staff, teachers, teaching assistants, administrators, and then the employee retirement system, which is all of our support staff who we know play such a vital role to everything that we do. So in the case of the teacher retirement system, while the rate is staying pretty flat, because it's salary based and salaries go up from year to year, there's a cost increase. In terms of the ERS, there is a rate increase of about 1.5%, and that combined with salary adjustments is why you're seeing that increase there. Things like Social Security, workers' comp, the unemployment, I'll talk about those particular. Those are just due to rising costs, and in some years maybe we budgeted a little bit too close. And when you're budgeting, it's just like when you plan your finances at home. You try not to go to the penny, to the dollar. You try to give a little bit of a cushion within reason. And so as we look at these codes, my assistant Mike, who's here with me, does a lot of great work behind the scenes. My various offices as part of the business operation. We sit down, we look at history, we look at trends, both in terms of what was spent, cost increases, of what we know, what we're anticipating, and we see where we think we need to make adjustments. And we also see where we think maybe we could take some liberties and say, let's try to budget a little bit less in this area and see if it'll work out. You do have the ability in most situations to make budget transfers. If they're very large, obviously we got to seek board approval on them. But we try to avoid that. That also ties into, in terms of looking at history and trends, we try not to make too many budget transfers. So if we see that for one code or certain codes that we had to do a lot of transfers in the previous year, then we look to make those adjustments in the current budget development. In terms of the health especially, it's close to 13% increase, and again, you're seeing that throughout the field.
Dr. Senimore, if I could just jump in. At the very bottom, when we look at total benefits in that third column to the right, you're looking at about almost a little less than $5 million. A lot of that is out of our control. So just based on these benefits, and it's, we're fortunate that we did receive a lot of additional aid this year. And this was a tough year. And this is something that we have to, as a district, have to keep our eye on moving forward, because it could be concerning, because these are things we just don't know until basically the following year as we're building this budget. So it's a good thing that we received these additional funds, but this was a pretty large year as far as the increases go in benefits. Thank you.
Yeah, if this was a normal state aid year, that amount would have covered our entire state aid increase before we looked at anything else. It's staggering.
Correct.
It's a staggering increase. It's almost a quarter of the budget to benefits. So there's really not much we can do about it.
No, it's thank you both. It's an excellent point, and it ties into one of the themes throughout all these presentations, throughout the budget development process, that theme of sustainability. We want to put great things in place. We're always looking to build, but the idea is not to have this ebb and flow. It's to sustain, and that's why we always keep one of those eyes. We got several eyes, by the way. We always keep one of those eyes on the future. Thank you. So in terms of debt service, this will incorporate bonds, energy performance contracts. We're about to start a second one. The financing should occur very soon. And so, and that obviously there's an investment up front in terms of the debt on the borrowing, and with the idea of being energy efficient over a period of time to reduce those costs. Something that is a kind of a tough pill to swallow in our field, especially in Suffolk County, is what's called tax anticipation notes and that interest. Because we don't receive our tax revenue early in the school year, it comes later around December. We have to borrow, and when the rates are low, it's not so bad. The rates are very high. And so a lot of money, unfortunately, has to get budgeted to cover those rate increases, and that's something that a lot of districts this year that we're living in. We're kind of, hit between the eyes when, the rates really spiked to a point that, could not be really anticipated. And now we're making that adjustment in the budget development for next year.
You see the impact of that, and I think the Fed raised the rates again.
Right.
This is
I mean, when rates are low in terms of the debt service, especially when you go for borrowing, for a bond or for an EPC, there can be opportunities to refinance, but those opportunities are not presenting themselves right now, and probably not for a few years. You know, we keep our fingers crossed. I mentioned earlier in terms of the bonds, we were about to do our second EPC, which is very exciting. And I kind of gave you the woes that every school district in Suffolk County shares in terms of that need to budget for those increases. Really an exorbitant amount of money, and it's just a shame, the process in Suffolk County. Everybody got hit very, very hard with that. I'm sure, Dr. DeLeo, you've heard that from your superintendents in the cluster and in the county. As we continue, we have our summer program, you know, meeting the needs of our kids and our extended year summer program, especially our special education students. In terms of the school lunch, so during the COVID years, we, with federal support, it was universal lunch. And now that program has ended. And so what happens is when a student, but it's really a family, when a family owes, our kids don't go hungry. We make sure our kids don't go hungry. All right, I want to make sure that's very clear. Our nutrition program, and it is truly a nutrition program under the outstanding leadership of Ms. Busey and her team. Our nutrition program, no students go hungry. But what can happen is if they have to pay a fee, you know, if they're not already eligible for free or reduced lunch, that can create a debt to the district. You know, those debts are very hard to collect. It's very sensitive for obvious reasons. And so while the cafeteria fund is a separate fund of money from the general fund, from the budget, we are obligated by regulation that any debt that is owed to the cafeteria fund in the actual general budget, we have to make up the difference. So I have to, as a business official with my team, we have to budget for that potential there. You know, could this be an area where maybe some of those codes or other needs that we felt we were very tight on could be addressed if the governor works out with the legislature to provide universal lunch? Absolutely, absolutely. And so, you know, and obviously it's something that we know from living it in our community, many of us feel very strongly about. It's a worthwhile endeavor, you know, to make sure that every child eats. And we certainly have done that here in South Huntington. I hit it accidentally, let's see here. I think it might have froze on me. Thomas, did you pull the plug on me? Now let's go back. Let's see. All right. I want to make sure. Transfer to capital. We have a very dedicated facilities committee. Several board members are on it, chaired by our board president. Big district, and we're constantly looking to upgrade all areas. It has a major impact on the learning environment. Many of the things that we look at are not just your basic infrastructure, it's also enhancing the learning spaces. We've done a great deal of that over the years. For all learners, tremendous work with forums where we were able, through our curriculum department, you know, to promote the anatomage virtual dissection tables that were brought to the district through our Board of Education. Learning environments, you know, to support our students with the most significant learning needs and disabilities. You know, cybersecurity labs, you know, just incredible things in the future. Marine biology room, just things that are going to not only enhance our students' current experience, but expose them to career opportunities and certainly prepare them for college and the workplace. A little bit of a slight budgeting decrease there. In terms of those projects for next year, and there's also the routine maintenance, which is separate from that. Again, big district, you know, we got to fix potholes and you know, drainage issues and things of that nature, painting and other upkeep. So we want to make sure that our buildings and grounds budget lines are robust enough to meet those needs. But then in terms of the special projects, the continued funding for the renovations over at Walt Whitman High School, and realize that, you know, the main field, the turf field, the bleachers, the press box, those are not just sports, athletics. It's all intramurals, clubs, our arts are out on there, the marching band, our community at large. Tremendous, tremendous use. You know, a high school is traditionally the flagship of a school district. It's a rallying point. It's a place where our alumni come back for generations and generations. And Walt Whitman High School is you know, it's centrally located on Long Island. We are often asked to host things, and it's important to upkeep that area. It's very important, and we're committed to doing that. There's certainly a need for those you know, rest areas, comfort stations. You know, it's one of those things that's kind of a little bit of an inconvenience right now, whether it's getting people to go to one side of the building or another, and that at times can create certain safety security concerns. Try to maybe reduce the use of the porta potties. So that, you know, we're looking to enhance that. I mentioned the marine biology. Fitness center. Fitness center is another one of those areas. It's not just about you know, our outstanding athletic programs, which are making tremendous progress constantly in county championships, Long Island championship, doesn't matter the sport. You see tonight the growth of the program, incredible, but it's also for all students. It's a fitness center. The fitness center is a learning environment. You know, it's an extension of a traditional classroom. A gymnasium, a fitness center, these are all learning environments, and that's how we treat them. Robotics, you know, technology is ever advancing. But then certain things that maybe have gone by the wayside, and you know, things like auto shop, while certainly there's a direct technical tie-in there, you know, when I lift the hood of my car, it looks like I need it, you know, I need to work for NASA. You know, but back in the day, I could probably play around under the hood of my car. But something like that, and I know, you know, speaking with Dr. Murphy, the high school administration, there's a lot of interest in this area, and we're committed to enhancing those rooms. Things like, you know, the signs in front of our buildings, especially Stimson on a main road, and high school again being the hub. They need to, you know, they're old, they're outdated, they're not really working, and they need to be replaced. And certainly you see the continued commitment. Obviously we have a lot of staff here at JKL, but we have students. We have pre-K students, we have high school age students, our children, our family, we got to protect them all. So in terms of the total budget, I'm going to immediately bring your attention to that percentage to the right. That is a percent change in the budget. That is not the tax levy increase. When you get a lot of numbers thrown at you, and I do apologize, this was one of those presentations that I hit you with a lot of numbers. But it's important to have this open dialogue for the Board of Education, with the community. That is a percent change in the budget, not the tax levy increase, okay? The board is still considering what the actual tax levy increase will be for the subsequent school year. There will be another proposition that you'll be voting on in May. One will be the budget, and the second one will be on the ex officio student to the Board of Education, which Samantha has been, you know, part of our family up here this year. And the board, via proposition, needs to put this back out to the community. So you'll be voting on this again to continue with the ex officio student representative.
For some reason, the law requires this every 2 years. I don't know why.
I was going to ask, I know we've done it for 2 years now.
Yeah, every
Okay.
2 years it has to be put up. It's very strange.
Samantha will
Why
be
you have to
going door to
constantly vote
door.
on it.
Door to door. She got new sneakers, she'll be going door to door. All right. Our goals. Our goals. We continue to be committed to excellence. Our kids deserve the best, and we're going to give them the best. Everything that we can give them, we're going to give them. Again, tonight, another example how they continue to shine and make us all proud. Looking at the calendar and the weeks ahead, obviously we have some holidays coming up, and I wish everyone a wonderful holiday celebration. We have lots of holidays coming up. And in terms of, the next big component for us, besides the board deciding on that tax levy increase, will be the budget adoption in April. Then there's a responsibility for all school districts to vote on the local BOCES budget. And then we have our public hearing, followed by the budget vote, the proposition vote as well, on May 16th.
Thank you, Dr. Senmore. Does the board have any questions for Dr. Senmore? Mr. Ciavarella, if you just go back to slide 27 for a moment. I think now is a good time to talk about this. The budget adoption is on the 18th, but we usually do try to discuss in advance where we want to end up with the levy. Last year, we did have a zero levy, which means that we don't have to spend up to the tax levy. Our eligible tax levy this year, I believe, is 2.31%. Dr. Senmore?
2.31.
27. No. Other way. There we go.
Pay no
No,
attention
stop.
to that man
Next.
behind the podium.
Next. There you go. Hold on. Okay, good. Perfect. So, okay. Just double check. So this is obviously, we're very fortunate with state aid this year, but as you can see, it goes very quickly. Most of the state aid got eaten up in increase in insurance costs, increase in TAN borrowing, and contractual agreements, and that left very little left over. But we were fortunate with that leftover money to be able to increase our mental health staff by 2, our librarian at Silas Wood by 1/2. So we have a whole person now, and also to be able to put in a pilot program for after-school activities for school busing, late buses, which we've been asked about a lot over the years. We'll see how it goes. Expect a lot of interest in that. As well as bring back the 9-period days. So we were able to do a lot this year. I think we took advantage of that increase in state aid. As Dr. Senmore and Dr. D'Elia said, we have an eye on the future. Coming years will be much tougher. This is the end of that kind of double-digit increase, and so there will be belt tightening going forward. So we're not going to, have these type of programmatic increases going forward, though. I kind of think over the last few years we've pretty much added everything that we need to. Of course, we'll continue to work on our facilities. That money is that's baked into the budget already, and what we've been able to do with the facilities is really very important. As Dr. Senmore said, these aren't just cosmetic improvements. We're doing something that's kind of sets us apart from other school districts on Long Island. We're taking the opportunity to repair and rehabilitate some underutilized and kind of decrepit spaces and build them into something that's a showcase. We got that award back there, Champions of Change, for our Armitage room, and people do marvel at what we've been able to do. We'll be opening up later on this year the cybersecurity lab, and a couple of years the marine biology room, which is, these are going to be one-of-a-kind spaces on Long Island, and people often ask me, and they want to know how we're doing it, and they want to come see it, and that's how impressive it is. So that said, as last year we had a zero levy, and the board was very cognizant of the fact that we're in very difficult financial times. Those times have really not gotten a lot better with increases in interest borrowing, and inflation certainly is not good as well. You can just see that, by the price of eggs or anything that you buy at a grocery store. It's just so much higher. So. I think the board has had discussions, even though our eligible levy is 2.31, and just to clarify again, the 6.94%, that's just our budget to budget, right? Like that's not the tax increase, and the tax levy is 2.31, but we can go below that. And we've looked at neighboring districts, and we always are very cognizant of what's happening in the town of Huntington. And based on that, I would recommend to the board a 1.5% change in tax levy, and that would have us at one of the lowest in the town of Huntington. Thoughts from the board? Mr. President?
I'm supportive of the 1.5. Again, it'd be nice, we can go up to the 2.3 as you mentioned, but we're trying to balance just the increased costs. And again, everything that, a big part of it is also maintaining. We don't like to add programs and then have an issue of, well, it's funded for 1 year and then we have to take it away the following year. So just to be able to maintain all the great stuff we've done, given the cost and everything we've done, I think 1.5. I know I was very cognizant of what's going on with inflation. I certainly wanted to look at the other districts, and as you mentioned, it's still one of the lowest in Huntington and pretty broadly as well. So again, I think it's a fair way to keep the budget solid, but also be cognizant of our community, basically by not going all the way up to the cap amount.
Other thoughts from the board? Everyone comfortable with that? So we'll move forward with that time, and if you look at it over a 2-year rate, really, then really it's a 0.75% increase over 2 years, really, on average, and that's, that's pretty good with what we've been able to add, and I think it's very respectful of the taxpayers. So, I think we're in a good place. Appreciate all the hard work. We continue to advocate for state aid, and that has helped us to keep our levy and our tax rate lower. Our advocacy in Albany finally bore fruit after a lot of years of banging our heads against the wall. We're funded to where we should be. We had looked a few years ago at comparing ourselves to similar districts, and some of them were ahead of us in terms of state aid by the tune of $20 million, and now we're in a much better spot. There are continued efforts to get more, to reform the funding formula. That's always a source of consternation, the way we fund it now, so that's always under discussion, and they are still reviewing that. But, our advocacy has made a difference. So thank you, Dr. Senmore, thank Dr. Lee and the team, and we'll move forward with budget adoption at the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to the board. All right, we're ready to move on to our business agenda at last. Okay, motion to adopt the agenda. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. And just for the record, Ms. LaCara and Ms. Meyer are traveling for today, so they're excused. Okay. Item C through F, minutes, financial items require one resolution for adoption. Is there a motion? Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, no communications for this evening. We move on to new business, and the first item of new business is the approval of a secret determination for 2023-2024 capital projects. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Dr. Senmore, can you tell us about this one?
Sure. This secret, which is an environmental study done by our architects, all the projects that we do require, especially as we look at our transfer to capital within the budget. Obviously, this year we're budgeting for 23-24, just under $3.5 million. They require a determination regarding each of the projects, any kind of environmental impact, and the determination is that they are type 2, which is not an environmental impact. And this secret approval by the board is a key component in the process as we move forward with the first budget adoption, and then obviously out to the voters for their approval.
Okay, thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business, item number 2 is the approval of the single audit report for this 21-22.
The 21-22, yes.
Motion? Mr. Bronson, second. Dr. Senmore?
Thank you. So every year, school districts such as South Huntington, who receive federal funds in excess of $750,000, are required to have their external auditors do what's called a single audit report to look at the utilization of those funds. We got a clean report that requires no corrective action for your acceptance tonight.
Very good. Mr. Bronson, you want to add anything?
Yes, so the report basically was circulated amongst the audit committee members for comment and feedback. As Dr. Senmore mentioned, there was no corrective action, and again, the federal funding could be anything from grants to COVID relief, et cetera. That's the type of funding that we had received. But no, it was a clean report, and audit committee was comfortable with it.
Thank you. Good work. Any other questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business item number 3. It's a revision to the school budget school calendar, for the 2023-2024 school year that was adopted last meeting. Motion to discuss. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. So this is a resolution to amend our prior resolution from last meeting. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Yeah, as you were explaining, based upon after the Board of Education meeting and approval of the last calendar, I did get some feedback that June 27th would have been our last day of school, was not state aidable, which meant we had to move back by 1 day. So the good news is for our students, you'll have one less day of school next year. We'll be ending on June 26th, but that does impact May 24th. To keep us with 182 school days, May 24th also becomes an instructional day.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, that was just a swap, right? We moved
Oh,
1 day up,
That was
and
a
then,
swap.
because it originally was
That is
the
correct.
the Friday of Memorial Day weekend was an off day, so it's a swap
Correct.
of a day.
So it should be same number of schools.
Yeah.
School days,
Same,
right?
same number of school days, yep.
Okay. Okay. Everybody clear on that? Swapping 27th for May 24th, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Adjust your Memorial Day vacations accordingly. Moving on to new business item number 4 is a memorandum of approval for an agreement with the South Huntington Chairperson Association. Motion. Mr. Scraggs, second by Mr. Bronson. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval is this memorandum of agreement with the Chairpersons Association. This agreement outlines a 6-year contract sunsetting on June 30th, 2029. It keeps within line the limits of the tax cap, as well as some concessions that we discussed throughout the collective bargaining. Certainly would like to thank the negotiating team for the chairpersons throughout for their professionalism.
Great, and it's a nice long deal. So, any questions? This has previously been discussed during the exec session. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, congratulations on the agreement. Moving on to new business item number 5 is the approval of a memorial scholarship in the name of Jack Whalen, a 1989 Whitman grad. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Dr. Delia.
Yes, we received a very generous donation from the Whalen family for a Whitman senior to receive $500. And the Whalen family is very prominent within this district. They've had four children. 2 are still in our schools, and it's a very nice donation, very generous.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item number 6 is a donation for student meal debt. Motion. Mr. Scraggs, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Dr. Dilly again.
Yes, another very generous donation in the amount of $1,000 from Miss Joanna Georges that would like to help some of the struggling families that we've had with some lunch debt within our district. So she's donating $1,000 to help the cause.
Great. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business. Item number 7 is the approval of an out-of-country overnight field trip to Italy, including Venice, Padua, Florence, Assisi, and Rome. Is there a motion? Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Scragg. Dr. Murphy?
Yes, this is an overnight international field trip. This will be done during the February vacation, so there will be no loss of instructional time. It's being worked through our world language department, particularly our Italian teacher, Ms. Stefanelli. She has done this trip before, and it's really been a benefit to the world language department, especially those that take the Italian curriculum.
Any questions from the board?
Apparently, when I lived in Europe as a child in Venice, some person poured birdseed all over me, and the pigeons attacked me. So other than that bad memory, I'm supportive of this.
Is that a true story? Yeah, true story. Oh, really?
I don't even have words for that.
I thought you were making it up. That's amazing. Wow. That's a pretty cool story. Mr. Joyner, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about the 3 chaperones. Is that going to be adequate enough to deal with the 30 students?
It's not 30 students. We haven't had any signed up. We will make sure there's a 1-to-6 ratio. So for every 6 students, there will be 1 chaperone that goes through for the international trips.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And those would be district employees or?
District employees.
Okay. Very good. All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business, item number 8, we're moving into the conference section of our agenda. This is for a conference actually Friday, the 2023 Annual School Law Conference at, where is this? I think it's at Toro, right? Yeah, Toro Law School, Law Center, excuse me. Motion. Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Scragg and Mr. Joyner. As I mentioned, this is the Annual Law Conference covering some updates in the legal field for schools. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, item number 9 is the approval for a Nassau Suffolk School Board Association conference. Is there a motion? Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. This is a good one. It's a conversation with the commissioner, Betty Rosa. She hasn't been to Long Island all that often, so this is a great opportunity. There is going to be a question and answer session, so it's Monday, April 24th at the Heritage Club. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 10 is the approval of a board member to attend a policy workshop. I believe it's a virtual workshop. Is there a motion? Mr. Biangasso, seconded by Mr. Joyner. It's on religion in schools, so very timely topic. There was a huge Supreme Court decision that came out last year, going to reshape the landscape. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and the last item of new business is the approval for a board member to attend the Girls Inc. Award ceremony. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Bronson. And this was what was mentioned by Dr. D'Elia at the last meeting. And we're getting recognition by Girls Inc. of Long Island. I want to thank Mr. Joyner for bringing this opportunity to our attention. Thank you, Mr. Joyner. And all in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to, what's that? Moving on, oh, sorry, one more item, recommendations. We have item number 12 is the recommendations for the placement of students by the committees on special education and preschool special education. Dates listed. Is there a motion? Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Joyner. All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to personnel, we have personnel schedules 9, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, and 22. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. Any questions on personnel? All in favor? Any opposed? Information and reports are listed. There's an invitation to the PTA Council Reflection Ceremony next Monday, March 27th. I believe it's at Walt Whitman High School. Committee reports, there were no committee reports. Future, is somebody not here? No, okay. Sorry. Future meetings, March 22nd, back here. No, that is March 20th. That's today. We're not meeting again. April 18th, over at the James Caden Building again, we're adopting the budget. April 25th is a special BOCES board vote and election. May 9th is the public hearing of the budget, and then May 16th are our budget vote and board elections. Comments by board members? Mr. Scragg.
At the last board meeting, I just congratulated our students who were all Reflections winners. Many of them, or a handful of them, made it to our state level, or state winners, and one of them was left off the list. I just want to recognize Patrick Arciano from Birchwood. He won for photography in the special artist category. So I just want to thank him for his creativity, and our district for supporting the arts in many different forms.
Thank you, Mr. Scragg. Other comments? I have a couple. Great. Okay. So March is Women's History Month, and in South Huntington we've been highlighting this. Our PR team has been highlighting it on Instagram for the past month. We are proud to acknowledge the impact that women have had on our culture and our society, as well as paying attention and tribute to the many contributions that they've made within our own school community. Without the hard work and accomplishments of so many outstanding women within South Huntington, we would not be the place that we are today. So in honor of these outstanding women, every Wednesday during this month, South Huntington has showcased notable women from within our district who has demonstrated exceptional success in their respective fields and surrounding community. And there will be a final post next Wednesday. So I'd just like to briefly highlight the women that have been honored. In week 1, we honored Inez Boozer and Debbie Caden. Inez has been vital to our district for so many years, organizing community-based initiatives, volunteering with underprivileged children, before working many years in the South Huntington School District. Also, Debbie Caden, who was a parent to 2 boys who were very successful, the wife of former board president, and in her own right, she's in the Wildcat Booster Club Hall of Fame, and she gave countless service to the district. In week 2, we recognize Shirley Chaikin-Meyer, who was a Whitman class of 1968 alum and the founder and the president of Generation to Generation, an organization staffed by children of Holocaust survivors, committed to studying the effects of the Holocaust on themselves and the world. As well as Rhonda Smith-Young, who graduated from Walt Whitman High School in 1989. Rhonda received a Master's of Science in Education and the Certificate of Advanced Studies from LIU. In 2015, she was recognized by the Board of Education for her advocacy and leadership as a veteran educator and school administrator in the Brentwood School District. Week 3 saw honors to Ms. Walker Lightfoot, who graduated from Whitman in 1990. She went on to receive her BA from Georgetown University, and she has a position as Security and Exchange Commission attorney, and she aided in the Bernie Madoff investigation in 2004. Very impressive. As well as Jana Fox, who was valedictorian of the class of 1992 at Walden High School before she pursued a BA in Biological Basis of Behavior at the University of Pennsylvania, and she obtained her clinical research fellowship at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City. And finally, week 4 was Tracy Stern, who was an Emmy-nominated television producer and writer. She's worked alongside Steven Spielberg, Aaron Sorkin, and Josh Whedon, and her long-term projects have included movies for Showtime, CBS, ABC Family, and Lifetime Movie Network. And last but certainly not least, Valerie Bruner Chamberlain, who graduated from Whitman in 1994, regarded as a rock star of the Family Service League as Assistant Vice President for Housing and Homeless Services. So we congratulations to these wonderful women who have graced our school district, and to all the other women we recognized during Women's History Month. And one final recognition and honor. One final one. Next. Is there one more? Is that the last one? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, I do have one other, no picture, but I want to congratulate Dr. Jim Wright on his election into the New York State Athletic Administrators Hall of Fame. This is a very prestigious honor. Dr. Wright was a longtime athletic director for our district and recently inducted into the New York State Athletic Administrators Hall of Fame during the organization's recent annual conference in Saratoga. Dr. Wright has been a member of the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, long name, and the New York State Athletic Administrators Association for 20 years. For Section 11, he is a past Conference 1 president, and he served on seating, finance, and policy committees while chairing girls, cross-country, fencing, and softball. He's now the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Chair for softball, represented New York State Athletic Association Administrators Association on 2 New York State Public High School Athletic Association strategic plans. A lot of acronyms in here. And he's been a leader in professional development both nationally in New York State and, New York State and nationally. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Wright again. All right. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, just a few things. I'd like to congratulate the students and staff from Stimson that were part of the performance this past weekend. I had the opportunity to attend, and they were wonderful. So we also look forward very much to this weekend's Wizard of Oz, as it was a great performance earlier. I'd also like to recognize Dr. Murphy, Dr. Steele. They were identified by the College Board to present in July over in Seattle, Washington, and regarding our unbelievable work with getting students of color into AP coursework. Those numbers keep going up, and they've made it a mission, and we are very proud of them. And I think we're going to be highlighted by some other organizations very soon. as well. So I just wanted to make note of that, to the excellent work that they're doing, and it's making a difference within our community here.
Wow, wonderful. Great.
And last but not least, the Yankee Met game sold out, but I was able to get another 35 or so tickets that just went up recently. Last year the game sold out in May. This year it looks like it's selling out in March, because I think the team from Queens finally learned how to start winning. So there's more of a demand right now. So no, I just had to get that in. I'm sorry. I know I'm in the minority here.
Your popularity is dropping.
But here's the thing. Once those tickets sell out, I will not have the opportunity to get any more. So this is a great event for our community on June 13th. So we look forward to it.
Will they get to go on the field again?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yep, we did it for the last few years, and it's been a great experience. So,
Comments by student board member Samantha.
So, hi. I didn't really have much to say other than the fact that I was going to promote The Wizard of Oz, but I don't think I could do anything better than they did. So, like they said, performances are going on this weekend. They were amazing. They're going to be amazing. And I just hope everyone comes out to support them, because it's going to be a great time. So.
Thank you again. It's going to be great. All right. Voice of the residents. Any residents like to address the Board of Education? Going once, twice. All right. I will take a motion to go into executive session to discuss various matters of personnel. Mr. Scragg, seconded by Mr. Biangasso. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you all. Have a great week.